What's up, guys? Thanks so much for stopping by the channel today. We have another unboxing for Victory at Sea. So we are expanding our forces and not just collecting the Kriegsmarine, but also the U.S. Navy fleet and soon, hopefully, the Japanese fleet as well. So this today will be the U.S. Navy fleet unboxing. So there's quite a bit of stuff to get through in here, guys. So we'll be right back after we get this open for you. Alright guys, we got everything opened up and there's quite a bit in the box as is normal when we'll get these starters, so just get some of the smaller things out of the way. So our working with Warlord resins, sheet, the tab sliders for damage, again we're probably not using those. We find other solutions there, but typical invite for World of Warships, little construction guide for the various ships here just because there are definitely a ton of little metal components, so we want to make sure everything goes in the right spot there. But we got our battleship, the cruisers, the Essex, of course, our carrier, which thankfully is not really that many pieces, and on the back side, the smaller things, the smaller of the cruiser classes there, the Northampton class. So we get two more from that line, the Chester and the Houston, and then our Clemsons, which are obviously an earlier destroyer, dating back to basically right after World War I up through World War II, in comparison to the Fletchers, which you get in the two-player starter. So, and of course, New Mexico here, we already did a separate video on the Idaho unboxing, same class there, so we're just missing the Mississippi, I believe it was, from that class to get all three there. Of course, many other battleship types that the U.S. had. Would be interesting to see those as well. Portland is its own class, I believe. We'll check that in a minute when we get to the... or it's a slightly different class than the Northamptons, but I can't remember if it's the Portland class or a different one. We'll see that in a second, though. And, of course, our Essex Carrier here, which is a massive model, pretty chunky. So, of course, we get lots of metal bits here to basically get through all the ships and get those assembled. We do get some flights of Corsairs as well, so we shouldn't forget those. So we'll get those assembled, of course. On to the ships itself. So and there's been a little bit of, I guess, controversy as far as like some of the resins and materials, some people getting warped ships and other damaged ships and all that fun stuff. So by and large, like this right here and then the resin on the Portland, this is like the what I think is like the crappy resin as far as just overall quality. Like the details pretty much still there, at least on these, but this is like the more rigid, brittle resin. So like this one's got a little bit of a bend to it, so we're gonna have to get that fixed. But this one right here is kind of like the top of the notch resin. Almost never an issue whatsoever with these. So hopefully at some point Warlord gets that figured out and just basically sticks with this kind here, which they seem to have done for most of the ships. But yeah, this right here and these are not as great. Detail's still there, but just overall resin quality is not there, or not as good. Anyway, Clemson class here, so again, we get lots of those. No reason to basically name all of them separately just because there were so many. And really just one piece there to get them built. Then, of course, we got our Houston and Chester, basically same class. So again, more and more of the Northampton class here, so kind of a U.S. cruiser here. Definitely not, at least game-wise, going to stand toe-to-toe with some of the Japanese heavies and stuff like that, but that's a video for a separate discussion, separate video. Here then, finally, the Portland, very, very similar layout and weapons and all that. I think just minor differences in the game stat-wise too, but this is the, what is it? Oh, this is the actual Portland class. Okay, gotcha. So, I don't think there were as many in this class. I think it was just actually two ships. We'll see that when we get to the stat cards in just a sec. Of course, here we get the mighty New Mexico. Awesome ship. And it's the New Mexico class. And again, check out our video on the Idaho for the other one there. So we're just missing the Mississippi, I believe, but gorgeous detail. They got all the a lot of the secondaries and anti-air in there, so just nice to see that. And then, of course, the mighty Carrier, so a big, big chunk of resin here. Again, got one of the elevators on the side here. Essex class. This will also be great. Hopefully we get like the Enterprise and the Hornet and stuff at some point too. And then on the stat card side, so again, we saw the New England class already with the Idaho, so check that out there. We're not going to specifically go into that, but Essex here is pretty cool. 270 points, a lot of light guns just for some basic protection there. Dual purpose, so they can deal with planes as well, but you can, at least make some of the maybe destroyers or light cruisers getting a little too close for comfort. At least reach out and touch them a little bit. Maybe dissuade them from coming that close. You got 70 hull to work with. Not much in the way of armor, though, so you're definitely going to get damage put on you. It's got AA batteries as well, as you would expect. Speed is 6, too. And then lots of refits here, and then we got several in the class, so many different carriers that the U.S. pumped out. Lexington will be cool to see at some point as well, so lots of good ones here. Ticonderoga, the Wasp, Yorktown, the Hornet as well, so definitely looking forward to seeing a lot of these, and just getting more models here. So lots of upgrades here. Basically, a lot of it's going to be adding more anti-air, and just basically making them a lot tougher for aircraft to come in and try and damage. So as you can see, basically all the refits really revolve around anti-air and pumping that up. Our Portland class, in contrast to I'll just kind of move them here so you can see them both. The Northampton, so 10 points more, and basically what that's getting you is a little bit better armor, and then 3 more hull points as well, with 1 more sort of breaking point there. But by and large, I think the armament, though, is essentially exactly the same, just I think slightly different refit classes and paths there, just because there were so many more ships in the Northampton versus just, it was Portland and Indianapolis. Indianapolis we got in the 2-player starter, so that basically finishes that whole line for us, which is cool. But yeah, just as you can see, again, primarily with the Americans, so much of it revolves around just increasing anti-air, but also adding radar at various points. So, but overall, not too big of a difference between the classes there. Hopefully at some point we will see a lot of the other cruisers that the Americans had, so like Atlanta would be nice to see, just for the sheer amount of turrets on that thing, and some of the other variants and, again, cruisers that we came out with. So of course the Northamptons, we've seen that so much already from the demo kit, the 2-player starter, so we're not going to spend too much time there. And then our Clemsons, which again are a much earlier destroyer, dating back to right after World War I, 60 points a pop, as fast as you would expect, nothing much in the way of armor, really only 3 hull, which is again a little bit less than the Fletchers. I think the Fletchers had 5 or 6 4-inch guns, so not too much in the way of damage there, but they can tangle with other destroyers and other lighter things like that. Subs, I'm sure, eventually too, if you can get them on the surface. But where this thing shines is basically that it's packing 2 sets of torpedoes, 2 launchers basically on each side, so 2 port launchers and 2 starboard launchers, so a grand total of 4. So you can definitely come in, and if you can manage to get a good attack run with your torps, that's where these things will be scary. So range, of course, as you can see, they're not all that great with the torps, but as you would expect, torps aren't going to reach across the board. And there were just a bajillion of these made, so yeah, and 150 more there. Alden, Clemson, Sem, Mason, Graham, Goldboro, and yeah, 150 more. So Bainbridge is one that's really cool. So, and just a couple upgrades there. So again, a little bit on basically playing around with speed and adding more anti-air. And then eventually radar, and the Hedgehog too, for I think some of those that ended up in British service. So overall, some really neat things there, and again, just a different class of destroyer. So we have 2 now for the Americans. Of course, the famous Fletchers, the earlier Clemsons. Now we'll see what else they give us. There's definitely more. A couple more classes that are out there that the U.S. had, so we'll be looking forward to seeing all of that as the game develops. But that is the U.S. starter fleet. So again, really good stuff here. So we get a little bit of everything for the game: our destroyer class, some cruisers, solid battleship. Again, a little bit more of an early to mid-war battleship. You can certainly run it throughout the war with the various refits, but again, this going up against something that punches harder, like a Yamato or just other heavier battleships, might struggle a little bit, but by and large, she can hold her own. And of course, one of the many carriers that the U.S. had there, so we'll look forward to seeing more as the game develops. So you get quite a bit of stuff in the fleet, definitely enough to get going and playing some small battles with friends. And unlike, I guess, the Kriegsmarine, which never really had a carrier, so that one obviously is going to be a little bit of a different fleet to go up against. So, but this versus like the Japanese is going to be a great matchup. Just again, similar contents and the starter fleets and similar upgrades available now. Of course, the Japs do have the Yamato, so it's kind of the ultimate in heavy battleships, but the U.S. Obviously can bring all of its air assets and carrier assets to bear as well. But anyway, good stuff here. So definitely looking forward to getting these cleaned up for you guys, assembled, painted, and then we're going to rock out some battle reports for you. Thanks so much for stopping by today, guys, checking this out. We do appreciate it. Leave us a like, comment. What have you experienced so far with the U.S. fleet? Maybe you've already gotten games in. We're still kind of catching up on that. Let us know your thoughts on the U.S. fleet or the game in general right now. What's working, what's not working. And then if you haven't already, subscribe to us if you could. Thanks so much again for stopping by. Hope you guys have a good one. We'll see you in the next one.